Good afternoon, and a very warm welcome to you, wherever you hail from in the world. My name is Steve Falconbridge, and I'm joined on camera by the wildebeest. And we have got Tandy, who is giving us a little bit of a mouthful of teeth. She's just stood up, and it's possibly the raised voice that she heard. And she stood up and gave a little bit of a snarl there. Oh, she's calling a cub. This could potentially be my first visual of this cub in real life. Tristan has seen it a number of times, and so it is now my opportunity. Oh, that looks like an impala head. Wonderful. A little bit of takeaway. Can you hear her calling, folks? It's a typical contact call between mother and baby. It's a wonderful sound. If you hear that when you're on foot, it is quite a terrifying sound. And you definitely backheel very quickly if you hear that while on foot. And similarly, when you hear the cub's contact call back, very nerve-wracking sound when you hear it on foot. Your body knows exactly what it means, even when you don't really understand. Stubby comments that looks like she's in a bit of a mood. I believe Tandy always has a little bit of a mood with the vehicle, but for her to show us a little bit of a mood there and then suddenly start calling a cub goes to show that she's completely relaxed. I believe that's just her nature. It's just the way she behaves. I've been warned by the guides about it. This is wonderful. Wonderful way to start off the afternoon. There's a nice warm day here in the Sabi Sands. The cloud cover is slowly petering away, and we have some sunshine coming through. And please feel free to send your questions through to @SafariLive on the Twitter feed, or follow us on YouTube. Send through your comments and questions. We're likely going to sit here with Tandy because we would like to see that little cub in real life. Did you see where she went, Vildy?
Yeah.
She's in the thickets, folks. Can't quite see where she's gone to. I might just push up a little bit forward. I can still hear her calling. So while we see if we can move forward and maybe find her again, we're going to send you through to Noel, who's going to say good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon, Thorogood Elementary. I hope you're enjoying the school drive with us today. I am on the lookout for cats, any sort of cats, but also elephants. So Davi is on camera with me today. Hello, Davi. And I forgot to introduce myself. I am Noel. Please excuse me about that. And I'm coming to you live from the South African bush, not far from when Steve was with that leopard. We are going to be checking just up here on the eastern side of Chitwa to see if we can pick up any leopard tracks, and then we're going to be meandering towards the dam to see if we can pick up anything to do with elephants. All right. Other than that, that's the only plan we've come up with. Maybe we'll find some flowers. Maybe we'll do some trees. There's a bit of blue sky. Sun was shining. All right, now as we're busy lurking about and looking and searching, Steve, I believe, has managed to find Tandy again. So let's head on over to him and to see what he has to show you.
Yes, we are back with Tandy. I've got visual of a small little movement in the bushes to the right of her. We haven't quite yet got it on camera, but the cub is probably 2-3 meters, about 4 yards or so to the right of her. Here we can hear it calling. Listen, folks. This is going to be wonderful stuff if she comes out. I'm super excited. It's been a very long time since I've seen a wild baby leopard in the flesh. And Tandy is showing us a little bit of a moody face. She actually had her ears flat and her teeth were bared as she came towards us, about 3 or 4 meters. Can I move forward for you there, Vildy? Maybe that'll be better, eh? Or are you happy there?
That's fine.
Okay, we're happy there. I did just see a little bit of movement towards her right. Nothing's materialized as of yet. This is the patience game we have all afternoon. There we go. At the back there, eh? Folks, we are not in school drive. The school's only joining at 17:45. And the cub is coming. Just keep paying attention to the right of her. The cub is coming out of the long grass there. Give it a moment or two more. I just see it edging forward. Very inquisitive. It's coming forward, folks. Coming to attack Mom, perhaps. Mum is going to her. Almost there. There it is. Oh my word. That is just too cute. I don't know if you can hear that little cub meow. There it is. Oh, this is fantastic stuff. This is what it's all about. There she is. You can't help but chuckle inside at the sight of a leopard cub as it awkwardly balances on that pole. Oh, I am so excited too, folks. I am so excited. It seems like they're moving off a little bit to the other side. So I think we might try and go back where we came from, come around the other side. It's very thick in front of us and there is a fallen tree. So I think it's impossible to go forward. But I think we'll go back and out this way and see if we can get a little better look at this beautiful leopard and her cub. Watch yourself there, Vildy. Tambuti branches everywhere. So while we try and reposition here to find this beautiful cat and get a better visual, I believe Brent is busy bumbling around the Mara.
Unfortunately, whatever those baboons were shouting at was too deep in the forest on the other side of the river. So I would hesitate to guess there's probably a leopard there. So now we're moving away from the forest, still keeping the forest next to us, but moving out of the forest right to the edge of the Samaki swamp. And I'm hoping for some good birds. Lots of elephants already in the swamp at this time of the day. It's always a great time of the day to come down to this area. And of course, the resident... Oh! Buffalo bulls. Here you go. He's got a hitchhiker. Isn't that cool? Oh, he's properly caked in mud as well. Getting away from all the biting insects. And now there's a cattle egret hitching a ride, hoping for a grasshopper to fly up, and he'll be able to catch it as it goes past. Kirsten is wondering, how much of the Mara have I travelled? I'd say out of the National Reserve, both Triangle and the other side, there's only really the area up in the mountains around the Sand River Gorge. I've been to the Sand River Gorge, but the area above the Sand River Gorge, so not too far. There's still some hills and mountains I want to go explore in that area, so I think I might head up in that direction on my next adventure across the river. But I'd say probably about 90%, 95% even, of the National Reserve. So that includes the Triangle and the National Reserve on the other side. I've been to most places there are to go. Oh! Where are they? You should be able to hear some very noisy black and white casqued hornbills. Very noisy. Very noisy hornbills. Can't see them though, they're deep in the forest there somewhere. Oh! Well, Taylor has found what she's looking for, so let's go have a look at some spotted critters that are very cute.
They are very cute, but the whole clan is not here. And a couple of them are in the burrows, but there are a few females sitting out with their youngsters. That's an older one. Oh, look who's popping its head out. Oh, it's so cute when they do that. But we're with the hyena clan that Rolf has spent quite a bit of time with. They're amazing creatures. I used to see this clan quite often, in fact. But they've moved their den just slightly, not too far off the road, but it's quite difficult to find in all the long grass. But I think most of them seem to be using this little burrow. That's where quite a few of the youngsters are. Some of the sub-adults that are only maybe 3 or 4 months old, just down in there. I think it's quite difficult with aging hyenas. Some of you are very good at it. And you have a little chart. As you can see, there's 2 little heads that pop up every now and then, just like the bat-eared foxes. That's kind of all you get. Oh, you found a chew toy. Oh, I thought you were chewing on a piece of grass. Never mind, you were just chewing on the other hyena's ear, which is also normal. Now, these networks are so intricate. I'd love to go inside a den one day. I think it would be a tight squeeze, but it could be really, really cool. And to have a look around and see what's actually going on in there. And it would be an amazing system for another animal to use as well. So when these guys move away, you might find a family of warthogs come in here, or perhaps porcupine, big enough for porcupine, that's for sure. Or mongoose, anything like that would come living in this area. It's lovely though. It is quite beautiful, as you can see, but they're fast asleep at the moment, not really doing too much at the moment. But I think that we'll sit around and be patient, and hopefully they will wake up. However, Steve is having a great afternoon. He's found himself Tandy with the little cub. I can't wait to see her. I'll maybe be able to see her when I'm back in the Sabi Sand in March.
I've managed to come around and find her again. She moved off with the cub just under some shade of the tambuti trees. We don't want to go too close. We don't want to scare the cub. The cub moved a little bit away as we came, so we just stopped. We switched off. We're being very sensitive. We've got a lot of time we can spend here, so there's no rush. Habituation of animals is not about influencing their behavior. It's about them getting used to you and not responding, not getting any negative response. If a cub runs away and you pursue that, it's going to learn that running away is a reaction that it needs to do. But if it moves away and you switch off and everything stops, it learns to understand that there's no negative feedback. There's no need to respond, and slowly but surely that moving away will change. Obviously the adult is quite relaxed. Tandy, beautiful, beautiful mother, even though she's a bit grumpy from time to time. Just wait here and see if the cub comes back and plays with her, and over a period of time we might move a bit closer. But this is wonderful. This is how leopards are seen. Can you imagine trying to see that with your naked eye? I mean, Voldy, if you pan out and just keep that frame, folks, see if you can see her. Look at that, eh? Would you see that on foot? We're probably about 35, 40 yards from her, and she is invisible. Just a stream bed. Walking down here, would you see that animal? Look at her. Fantastic. Tesla and Ben, 7 years, ages 7 and 8, welcome. I hope you're having a wonderful afternoon or morning wherever you are. You ask how old the leopard cub is. Leopard cub is about 3 months. 3 months old. It's still quite fresh, quite new, but it is at that stage where it's wonderful to view because it's active and it's very playful. So how heavy it would be hard to say. Wildy, what do you reckon? How much do you think that thing weighs now?
3 kilograms.
Yeah, Voldy thinks about 3 kilograms or so. I would say probably about that, which is double that to get your pounds, 6, 7 pounds in weight. Very small. Whereas she is probably in the 65 kilogram range. 60, 65 kilogram range, 130 pounds. So the baby's got a long way to go still. But that's why it is with mum, and that's why a situation like this could be potentially dangerous if you're walking. But we're going to stay here with this wonderful cat and see if we can get a better look at the cub playing. And while we do so, I believe Mr. Brent is up in the Mara with a very big elephant.
Here we go. So we've moved away from the forest. It's behind us, and we're on the edge of the Samaki swamp. And I always love coming here in the afternoon because of the Ellies coming down to feed. Excuse me. And not only are the elephants, of course, all the different birds. Look at that. We've got great white egrets, the tallest white bird there. And there we go, woolly neck storks. All keeping around the elephants, waiting for them to chase something. There's also a black-headed heron just to the left as well, I think. There we go, you can just see the black-headed heron right in the back left corner. Woolly neck storks. Oh, there's a sacred ibis just fluttered through. There's another one about to fly through shot shortly. Where's he going to fly? There he is. Sacred ibis. And there we go with the black-headed heron. All taking advantage of whatever the elephants might be disturbing. It's a very peaceful spot here on the edge of the Samaki swamp. Well, hello Tesla, who's 7 years old. Tesla would like to know, why are there no wild elephants in America? Well, Tesla, because the Americas are not good for elephants. The most likely reason is it probably gets too cold. You don't really find elephants where there is snow, but they evolved away from America, so there's a big ocean between them, and the land bridges would have been covered in snow and stuff, and the elephants don't like to be too cold, and that's why the elephants are in Africa and India and Asia. So quite warm places normally. They do get cool, but we don't really get too much snow in the areas where elephants live. They don't like snow. Isn't that beautiful and peaceful? There must be close on 60 or 70 elephants. Now, Mr. Q says, with anti-poaching, is there not a possibility of an elephant overpopulation? Yes, there is. There's always that. Traditionally, the elephants would have been able to move out of areas if the populations got too big. But now, with human beings putting pressure on all the edges, there is a real chance of elephant overpopulation, especially in areas like South Africa. And, let's go across to these elephants over here. There's a yellow-billed stork with them. And there's more elephants off to the right. And we've got there, those birds there behind them. A little bit to the left. There we go. There's a yellow-billed stork there. A little bit to the right, the one off to the right, standing by itself with the black on the wing. There we go. That's the one. And there's more woolly neck storks behind. And great white egrets and sacred ibis. Oh, and it looked like... Oh, I love it when they do that. And they just come flying into shot. Looks like there's also... Oh, it's amazing how many bird species there are. Now, I think Taylor was talking about flufftails yesterday. This is an ideal habitat for flufftails, although they're quite difficult to spot. And the best chance at seeing them is actually if they get flushed by an elephant or a buffalo marching through the swampy area. Oh, very exciting. It seems like the latest bundle of joy on Juma is out and about.
Very exciting, very exciting. There we go. The cub is out with her. How's that, wildebeest? But she's very aware of our presence, folks. There's the cub. There it is. She's giving it a head bath. Such a good mother. Keeping the baby nice and clean. It's wonderful to see leopards behaving in their natural behavior. Mother bathing the baby. Very rough tongue. Baby licking back. Getting her belly cleaned. Doesn't seem to be too happy with that. Now, for those of you who've seen this before, you must understand this is very magical to see, and the fact that we're also a little bit far away and there's thick bush in between. Just the way it is, folks. This is how we're going to watch her. You can see they're obviously not at all bothered by our presence right now. We're giving them their space. And the cub is a feisty one who doesn't want to bath, Mum. There was still some carcass left before when we first found her. She actually picked up the head of an impala. Looked like a 1-year-old male impala. It seemed to have some horns. And then she called the cub at the same time, and since then we haven't seen that head anymore. But important for the grooming, important to keep themselves clean. Keeps them free of parasites. Cleans off any excess blood or any dirt. Those of you with cats at home know that they are very, very clean animals. You can tell by the movement of the leaves, it's just a gentle wind there. And every now and again she puts her head up as she hears something or maybe smells something. I don't know, it's beyond my knowledge to know if a leopard would actually hunt in the presence of her cub like this without stashing her first. I'm sure it's happened before, but I've never seen it. Chat Lar comments, he's in heaven, so am I, sir. Or ma'am, I'm not sure exactly. There we go. There's the beautiful little thing. It does look like a female, just a very brief glimpse there under the tail. I don't know if she's enjoying or loving or hating that bath. Takes you back to excerpts from The Lion King when young Simba is getting bathed by his mother before he goes off on that adventure. There we go. See now, folks, to have a leopard cub jumping around and moving around freely like this indicates that the animal is relaxed. It's very important to understand that. If that leopard was not relaxed, you would not see that cub at all. You wouldn't even see the leopard. So the work that goes into this is very delicate. We could quite easily just drive our vehicle right in there, but that would just influence their behavior. So it's important to be very sensitive. It's also my first experience with Tandy. And one thing I've learnt in the past is always, even if you know an animal, it's still important to pay attention to what they're doing and how they behave. Shannon's asking at what age would the cub eat meat. It would probably have a little bit of a snack now, but it would be more reliant on the milk from mum. But from 6 months on, definitely they start eating a lot more meat, and mum actually brings them to the site of kills. I would say that the size of this impala that it killed was quite small, and she maybe brought it to where she was stashing the cub, which to me is quite strange behavior for a leopard, because having the kill close by attracts hyena. That's the last thing you want sniffing around where you're hiding your cub. The least amount of influence on a den site, the better. Hence the reason why leopards move their cubs quite regularly. The smell of leopard starts to increase, and the problem is if you have the smell of rotting meat there, it'll always attract a nosy hyena. And a leopard would always move away from a hyena. Even big male leopards, well, most of them anyway. They can't afford to be bitten. So definitely from about 6 months the cub will start eating meat, and from about a year or so it'll start venturing quite far away from the little den sites. So folks, don't worry, we are not going anywhere. We're going to stay here with Tandy and her little cub, and while we do so, we're going to send you over to Noel, who's in the south around Chitwa, I believe, for an update.
I'm so excited you're getting such good visuals of that little cub. He says she is super cute, although because I believe Tristan is sticking with his thoughts that it's a female, and I believe I just heard that you're also possibly thinking the same thing. I might have to have another look. I might change my mind, but I do like the bet, the possible bet that's going on. I still have to talk to Tristan about this, so maybe I'm just going to stick with my male thing for now and just wait until it's about 4 months old to fully confirm, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Yeah, so here we go. So we've been talking about that topic on and off for a while, and we have been chatting about the little bet that we've been having between myself and Tristan and Scott, so let's see what Steve has to say about that. Other than that, we are going to carry on and keep looking for whatever we're looking here at Chitwa Chitwa. It might be elephants, it might just be trees and bushes, as we've been doing for the past little while, trying to pick up some tracks. It's been a little bit of a quiet afternoon, a little bit warmer, so I'm hoping by the time we're able to access Chitwa Chitwa Dam that we'll have elephants drinking, or possibly some nice birding. Even the birds have been a little bit quiet this afternoon, that's for sure. Oh, there's elephants up ahead! Haha, speak of the devil. Sorry, its bum has just gone in behind. So let's carry on a little while. Don't go anywhere yet. We're going to come up to this elephant just now. We're being chased by some warthogs. Thanks, Tommy. Instead of running the other way, they were running towards us. Hello, Ellies. Fantastic. I'm just going to find us a nice little spot to park off and enjoy the view. Now, that's for now, possibly just the one male. And it looks as if he's going from marula tree to marula tree. It's fruiting season. And those fruits are so high in sugars and vitamin C that it gives them a little bit of a sugar rush. Mikhail, you're curious to know what's the average age of an elephant to live. That would be roughly about 60 to 65 years. I'm sure there's a few that have lived a little bit longer, but yeah, if they naturally occurring, that would be their lifespan. Now, he's also smelling as he's moving around, so it's possible that the marula tree went under now, didn't have any fruits, but it's also possible that he's following some females. We've been having a lot of really large herds of females coming through the Chitwa Chitwa area and attracting quite a few of the bulls. But you see how his trunk curled there, and he's smelling with the wind. The wind's pushing from behind us and then coming around. What I would like to do is I just want to reposition our car a little bit so that we can keep watching him. All right, now I believe Brent up in the Mara has a huge herd of elephants, not just one elephant bull. So I think let's head on up to him so you can have a look at what a female elephant looks like, and a Kenyan elephant at that, not a South African elephant. They are the same species, but you never know. There might be a few differences. So we'll head on up to him and see what he has to say.
Well, we're still sitting in the same spot, just enjoying this absolutely magnificent view. Oh, go to the right quickly. There's a little elephant chasing geese. There we go, stop there. Look at him. Look at him go. What are you off to? What are you doing? What are you chasing? He was chasing some spurring geese, or there's some hardy ibis, but the geese got away from him. the problem when you chase things with wings, little man. Off we go again. Oh, full of nonsense. Okay, that was wonderful. Now, as Noel said, we have a herd of elephants. Well, a herd of elephants is maybe a little bit wrong. We have multiple herds of elephants. So let's come out, Adrian, and let's start on the first elephant we've got over to the, yes, there we go, a little bit to the right, I think. There we go. So there's our first elephant. Let's stay wide, sorry. And it's a little bit tighter. So keep going, and about there, stop. So we're going to just pan, show you how many elephants are in the Samaki swamp at the moment. Just going to do a slow pan across. You see the Ellie's in the distance. We're just going to keep going. There's a bit of a gap here in the middle where you can just see some birds. And you can see there's actually some rain on its way here. So I might have to move quite soon. We're in golden light at the moment. So there we go. Now the next set of elephants start. And they just keep going as we keep going off to the right. Ceylon is wondering how many types of elephants are there. Phelan, sorry. Well, in Africa, you have the savanna elephants, which are the ones we're looking at here, and also the same ones that Noel was looking at. There's small differences, often in size and tusks and things like that, just depending on the area that they're in. And then you have the African forest elephant, which is now considered to probably be a different species. It used to be considered to be a subspecies, but and then you have the Asiatic elephant. So without getting into the nitty-gritty of subspecies, because that just causes fights, there are three known species of elephant: the savanna elephant, the African forest elephant, and the Asiatic elephant. Now I'm going to have to move, because if Adrian goes a little bit off to the right, you'll see there's this dark wall of water that is moving directly towards us at the moment. There we go, you can start to see. There we go, that dark sky. Now, Taylor, who's probably sitting in lovely sunshine, not too far from us, but also might be in the risk of rain, is still at the hyena den.
There ain't no sunshine. There's no sunshine with us, Brent. I'm seeing the dark clouds coming towards us too, and you've made me nervous by mentioning the words R-A-I-N. I'm scared of the rain. You can see it at the back there, but I think it's still got a little bit of a way to go. Now, things are up and down on the hyena clan at the moment. Sometimes they're awake, sometimes they're asleep. But what I thought we could do while we sit and wait for them is there's a little hyena, a youngster, and it's just laying out. Now, we always see hyena tracks on the ground. We see their footprints, but it's not often that we get to take a look at the underside of their feet, so I thought that it would be a good opportunity to have a look at what a hyena's foot actually looks like. So, you can see there are the two front paws, and we know that their claws show in their tracks, so they've constantly got their claws out. They can't retract them at all. And you can see they're quite blunt, almost like your dog's claws at home, especially if it's a dog, not an indoor dog, but an outdoor dog that's tearing its claws up on the various types of terrain. So they're kind of like studs, and cheetahs will be similar to that too, but then that's where it stops. And with the hyenas, you can see they've only got two lobes on their back pad and very bean-shaped toes that we always talk about, but now you can actually see them, which I thought was something quite nice. So there we go. You can see the four toes and the padding at the back, and then the claws, which is quite nice. It's a very cute scene. Now, they would have been resting for most of the day, I'd imagine, or I suppose these youngsters would also been up and trying to work out what's going on here. So at the moment, we can just see two females. There is a third one that's been hiding about. And more females, sorry. So I'm sure there's a few more females around. They might just be scattered up. But we'll stay with this clan for as long as the rain allows us to, and hopefully they start waking up and fighting. However, I think we're going back down to Steve now, and I think he's got a decent view of Tandy's cub.
And we're still here with Tandy and her cub. The cub is busy nursing. Tandy has just turned around after scratching and cleaning her paws, her claws on the tree, Tambuti tree. And the cub has come back after playing a little bit with Mum. Now it looks like it's hard to really see from this angle, but there's the little ears. Here's the small head. This is amazing stuff, folks. To see baby leopards like this in the wild is really, really quite something to see. Wildebeest and I are absolutely loving what we're seeing. There's another vehicle joining us here. I hope they don't make too much noise. At the moment the cub seems quite relaxed. But he is coming in very slowly, very quietly, which is very nice. I'm sure everybody at home is taking their screenshots, jumping up and down with joy at the sight of this beautiful little cub. There we go, you can see the cub is responding to some noises. But still back to Mum's nipple. Mum is quite relaxed. Lovely dapple light there. I believe a lot of the viewers are loving this, so am I. What is there to ask in situations like this but just to enjoy? Just to enjoy. I don't think I've ever seen a 3-month-old cub before in the wild. Rashni asks about the fact that Tandy's bringing kills to the den side. I think it's very strange. The cub doesn't need the meat, to relying on Mum to suckle. And I think I kind of answered this before. By bringing the meat to the den site, you're actually posing the risk of attracting hyenas, lions, other leopards even. And even if a male leopard came into the area who wasn't the father, who knows what he would do to a small cub like this. You don't want to really think about it, but it's part of nature, and there's a behavior that I believe Tristan spoke about the other day that's quite bizarre. I mean, I know after 6 months or so they'll start taking the cubs to kills that they've stashed in trees, but to actually bring it here is quite strange. Maybe she was here with the cub and she just killed an impala right nearby. Very hard to say. No one saw it. But it is quite strange behavior from my opinion. Not sure what James has to say about that. Look at those beautiful blue eyes. Oh, a little bit of a fright. That was just one of the vehicles making a bit of a bang on a tree. You see how it caused the cub to move away as Tandy's behavior changed. But Tandy's actually looking towards us, where there's some birds here in the long grass. Some of the viewers are saying the cub is only 2 months. I believe it will be 3 months by the end of this month. I think. Wildebeest, your opinion? Tristan made it very clear to me the other day that the cub was 3 months old from the day that they saw it first. So I haven't been around long enough to have much of an argument in this debate. But there's some birds chattering in the tree there. Alarm calls. I'm not quite sure what they are. But if I was a bird and I saw a rather large female leopard below me, I'd also cackle a bit. And that's what caused her to sit up. So a stealthy predator generally responds to alarm calls in a way of either sleeking away or acting very nonchalantly of She doesn't really care. It sounds like some wood hoopoes, but I'm not 100% sure. Can you see them, V? Wood hoopoes, hey? Known by the Zulus as hlagabafazi. When they do their characteristic calls, they sound like a bunch of cackling women, the Zulu women. They are quite a beautiful bird. Cooperative breeders, there we go, you can see one. The long tail. So folks, we are going to stay here. The wildebeest and myself are not going anywhere, so don't worry, we'll keep you up to date on whatever action happens to pass by here. But while we do that, we're going to go back to Taylor, who's got some very cute hyenas.
We do, and I also think that they are very cute. A lot of people may disagree with us because, shame, these poor animals have got the worst reputation. Now, that young cub that is rubbing up on that adult, it's not its mother. There's mom's two little ones that are suckling, and those two youngsters were having a squabble at some point. I think it just wants someone to play with for the moment. Now, because I don't know this clan very well, I'm not sure if the matriarch of the clan is collared, but we have seen quite a few of them with collars on. You know, I'll have to ask Emily. She's one of the hyena researchers in the Triangle. Perhaps I can go and have my coffee at Serena and we can chat about these beautiful animals. That sounds like a great idea. I'm sure you'd all love to join me too. Now, she's actually been quite tolerant of that young cub. Normally they're not particularly interested, but I suppose it's just going around and sniffing about, not being too intrusive. Otherwise, I'm sure it would get a stern talking to. Maybe this is the boss. Maybe this young cub belongs to one of the higher ranking females and can just do what it wants. But these two look of similar age. There's 3 of them that look very similar. Now, Deadhead Tom, you're wondering if it was something else that perhaps dug out this this den. Definitely so. It could have been warthogs. It could have been porcupine. It could have been a number of different animals. You might find that this den is exceptionally old as well. It looks like it's been well used, and there's quite a few of them scattered around here. So it could be, like I said, it could be a number of different animals that could be have utilized it over the last few years and just changed it slightly to suit their needs. We saw the claws on the hyenas, and they are fairly good diggers too. And so if they need to widen anything, they'll just go ahead and do that. Now this little one is creeping out of its burrow. I think everyone's wanting to play now. Oh, you are so cute. You might even actually be able to hear the 2 at the back constantly having arguments. Those 2 very young ones. And it's quite common amongst hyena siblings. Unfortunately, that girl's only got 2 mammary glands. And they'll be fighting over it. They've gone a bit quiet now. As soon as they start making that squealing, wailing noise, I'll let you know again, but the wind is picking up, so it could be quite difficult. So these 2 keep battling for essentially the best teat and the one that's producing the most milk at the time. And they get quite rough with one another. I think you've had some great sightings with Rolf, where, oh, sweet, they're playing. But no, they're not playing. They're exceptionally aggressive with one another from such a young age. Normally you don't see so much aggression with young animals. I mean, if you look at lions and leopards when they play, or cheetah siblings when they play, not that I've seen that very often, with the cheetah, of course, but it's normally quite playful. Here, it's teeth and claws and shaking heads, and that instinct is just ingrained in them that they have to fight for in the hierarchy, essentially. And try and top the other. Now, I didn't quite hear what Brent has got in the darkness, just in the distance. Sorry, I wasn't concentrating. He caught me off guard. But let's jump on board with him and see what he's got to show you.
Well, looks like we're going to have an elephant afternoon right at the beginning of the safari, and it is. Now, hiding behind that young elephant there is a tiny little baby between mom's legs, and I'm just hoping that it pops out again. It was nursing. Actually, let's try and move a little bit forward to see. Oh, and she's moving. Sorry. There we go, to the back. There we go. Look how small it is. Sweetness. Must be quite frustrating being that height and getting all the grass seeds in your eyes as you walk through the grass. Now, we must have been close on 100, just over 100 elephants down on the marsh. And now as we're moving further away from the marsh, we're actually finding more elephants. Probably another about 50 or so in this area around us here. There's the little one. And there's an absolutely massive group, probably another 50 or 60 up ahead of us. So I think quite comfortably we're going to see over 200 elephants this afternoon in a very small area between the Samaki swamp and the Shini forest. So it's incredible. They all seem to be really loving the grasses in this area, and they're very lush. The Shini, a lot of the little rivers like the Shini that come off the escarpment end up dumping all the water and topsoil and nutrients in this area. So that's why there's elephants are here at the moment, and the grass is still very green. Oh, is he going for a little lie down? He's having a snooze. There you go, little lie down. Tired, Ellie? Okay, well, I want to get up a bit further ahead to where that other big group of elephants are. But there's, as I said, there's another whole bunch here, probably about 30 or 40 in this area here. And then you can see that dark storm coming away. I'm hoping it blows a bit further to the west and leaves us alone. Mario is wondering if I've ever seen elephants in the Knysna forest. Now, Mario, the Knysna forest elephants are a bit of a story. They actually are not forest elephants at all. They are savanna elephants. And the Knysna forest actually doesn't hold that much food for elephants. And the reason those elephants retreated into the forest was because of persecution of humans. They would have seasonally gone into parts of the forest to feed off certain things, but it is unlikely that there would have ever been any permanently residing elephants in the Knysna forest if people hadn't have pushed them into that last sort of area where they could hide from persecution. Now, I'm going to keep moving. As I said, there's another massive herd of elephants up ahead, so I'm going to see if I can get into the middle of them. While we do that, let's go back to the gorgeous Tandy and cub all the way back in South Africa.
And we just keep getting better and better position, folks. We're taking our time, and we've now moved a little bit further forward. We've gotten this really nice gap. The cub's just moved off temporarily. As one of the other vehicles left a moment ago, it just moved back a bit, and I think it will come back soon though. She's quite enjoying the shade. She's a little bit elevated there. She's got a little bit of a look down into this drainage line. But you see the typical ears are flat. It's a little bit of a grumpy cat, this one. My experience of leopards, when you see ears flat like that, is indicating that she's not 100% relaxed. But as everybody tells me, this is kind of her nature and her behavior. Look at those eyes. She's very alert. Oh, hang on a second. Look directly behind her. Can you see there's a nyala just up and to the right? The nyala's looking directly at her. You can't see it in the frame. It's looking directly at her, and she has no idea that it's there. How many leopards are estimated, Mikkel? There we go. You can see the nyala through the trees. The nyala can smell her. There we go. She's now looking. That is a big animal for a female leopard, though. Watch her behavior. See how she starts to shift. But the nyala has got visual of it. You can see the leopard. Keep a certain distance. The leopard needs to get to a certain stalking distance for it to be effective. But I don't know if I think that nyala is too big for her. Doesn't mean she wouldn't try to chase it. But for her to subdue a nyala bull, probably weighs almost twice her weight, would be very, very difficult to do. Big male nyala. So while we wait to see if anything happens here, Mikhail asks how many leopards I believe are in the area. I think there's reported probably about 7 that we could find on the Djuma property. Is that right, wildebeest? But then I think there's probably about 9 or 10 that move in and out. They're not as static as people might think. They're quite fluid in their movements, and the boundaries seem to be moving. There's quite a few juveniles and quite a few males moving around that don't have any sort of particular home range or territory, so to speak. But I'm quite new to the area, and I'm trying to gather my thoughts and all the leopard interaction. And this is the wildebeest is saying probably about 9. But where they all are is very hard to say. This is prime leopard country. And you see how she's kind of acting very sort of nonchalant towards the nyala. The nyala is still watching her intently. As a prey animal, you never want to turn your back on a leopard. As soon as the nyala runs, it will invoke it to chase, even if it's impossible for her to pull down. It'll still cause her to chase. You can see her ears are moving from side to side. She's not focused on the nyala. She's probably looking at him with semi-closed eyes, pretending to be asleep, showing the nyala that she's not a threat. But he's not moving off. H. Macy says that's super close. Yes, it is. That nyala looks like it's probably about 10, 12 feet away from the leopard. That's a perfect stalking distance or charging distance, but that would only really work if the leopard wasn't seen. But the nyala was walking directly towards her, it seems, and then just stopped and stared at her. Don't know if you can still get her in the shot, or him in the shot. Doesn't seem to have moved off, but from my position, I'm a little bit more further forward than the camera. I can just see him, the white stripes between the eyes as he stares at her, letting her know, I can see you, don't dare come for me. This is so much fun. So you can see the intention of the cat. Its ears are sideways. It's not, if it was interested in the nyala, it would have turned. It would be all 4 feet facing forward. The head would be quite low to the ground. But she's probably pretending to be sleeping, which is typical of predators when they've been spotted. Oh, he's still there. So folks, we're going to stay here and see what unfolds, but in the meantime, I believe Taylor is in the Maasai Mara with some very playful hyena.
Yes, we are with some very playful hyena and a very ominous sky. Now, they've found themselves a little wildebeest horn that they've dug up. Well, I think they had it down in the burrow. Look at them. They're scrapping over it. They're fighting over the horn at the moment, the chew toy. And I'm pretty sure one of these young cubs is from a high-ranking female, just because of its attitude. It literally walks around like it owns the place, and it is challenging all the other hyena cubs and biting them, and it's very rough. We obviously, and for those of you who've grown up with kittens and puppies, you know that they like to bite and scratch you, and of course it's all just got to do with their playful nature and their natural instinct. But when a hyena grabs another hyena, even at this age, they don't let go, and they are born with a set of teeth, so they're very, very sharp, and they shake it around as if they were trying to tear into something. Oh, that one's got sweet ears. That one looks at the back, looks a little bit dopey. Now, I don't know how this lot are not getting into trouble by this female, because they're bothering those youngsters. You can see there's 2 much younger cubs trying to suckle there, and the hyenas don't allo suckle. They kind of just keep to themselves, and it'll be one female with her little ones. There you go, she's reprimanding that one, saying go away. And the other adults will come back, so don't worry. I might just be off laying about. They typically scatter themselves around the den site and rest during the day. I haven't seen any more coming through. I've only seen the 3 adults here, and I think I counted 9 or 10 cubs. I don't know, there could be some more even younger ones down in those these little burrows too. And then the hyena that's closest to us, the adult, there is actually a tiny little cub just between her feet. It's so small she's still having to pick it up to move it. they're all playing around. It's a very, very nice scene. And for anybody that hasn't seen hyenas, this is such a great den because it's out in the open. Now, Aaron, you're wondering if there's much difference between spotted and striped hyenas. I've never seen a striped hyena in my entire life, sadly. I've seen brown hyena, lots of brown hyena down in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. And I would very much like to see a striped hyena. Spotted hyena are larger. I'm actually not sure of the weight of a striped hyena, but I can have a look at my mammals book in a minute for you, and then we'll have a look. But they're the smaller of the species. Even the brown hyena is bigger than the striped. And I don't know if they would occur up here. I don't think so. I remember Brent was talking the other day about hyenas, about striped hyenas. Right, let's see if it quickly mentions. Striped hyenas can weigh up to, not very much at all, about 45, maximum 45 kilograms. Whereas, of course, a spotted hyena, they can get up to about between 80 and 85 kilograms, a big female. So there's a huge difference there in weight. Oh, the lovely golden light. The sun has just managed to break through the clouds, which has presented us with this lovely sight. And they're all getting active again, all playing with one another. Who took the wildebeest horn? That was a great toy. Look at this one, putting this little one on its bottom. And for such small animals, especially these younger cubs, they are very, very, very fierce. You can see. Not worrying about size. It doesn't matter, apparently, in this clan. Who's just got the strongest teeth and who can bite the most and chase each other around. It's interesting sitting watching and learning from these hyenas. Right, but we're going to have to start heading back. I can see this massive rainstorm, which is probably going to slow us down to getting home. So we might say goodbye to the hyena, but we'll come back here in the morning. Brent, however, has got a rather large elephant, and I hope it isn't giving him any trouble.
No trouble whatsoever. The only thing that is troubling me, and you might hear the splatter of quite large raindrops hitting our roof. There we go, a lovely big elephant bull behind the breeding herds. Now, with the elephant bulls, you will see more broken tusks than in the females, and of course, that's from battling with other elephant bulls for mating rights. Hello, big boy. So I said there's another good 60 or 70 elephants spread out through this area around where we are at the moment. You can even see some. On that little one, you can see some of the raindrops starting to form. And you see the little spots, the little dark spots on him. Those are those big raindrops that I was talking about. I was hoping it was going to push a little bit further to the west and miss us. But I don't think we're going to be so lucky. It's quite a weird coloration. It makes me worry a little bit about hail. We do get hail from time to time here. And the temperature has dropped incredibly in the last sort of 5 minutes. It has been a wonderful elephant afternoon. I'm going to get Adrian to pan again just to show you. Keep that frame, Adrian. Just keep going around. You'll see as we go, there's elephants everywhere. Behind, more elephants. And then in the distance there, another big group of elephants. And then as we keep going, elephants, 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 elephants. And then as we keep going, you'll see there's more elephants closer to us as well. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to do the runner to try just get to a spot away from the elephants so I can get out and put the rain covers down, because it is going to start raining very hard shortly. It's okay, little man. Don't you get full of nonsense with me. Okay, so while we try to get to a spot away from all the elephants so we can safely get out of the car and drop our rain covers, let's go back to Steve, who's still with Tandy or looking for Tandy, I'm not sure. Good luck!
So she's just moved off, folks. We're now trying to get out of this very interesting position we've managed to find ourselves in. It was fine enough getting in front ways, and now we're going backwards, so might need some repairs on the tyres later. There were some thorns there. Watch your head, Vildy. just reversing up. She was busy calling the cub last we saw her, and then she moved across and away from us down into the drainage line. So love these little short wheelbase Land Rovers. So while we reposition ourselves and see if we can find a nice little place to see these beautiful cats, I believe Taylor is chasing the storm.
We are storm chasers today. Actually, we're storm avoiders. That's what we are. Storm avoiding. Storm avoiding. I feel like there's a... There you go. Jean-Andre felt the vibe. So we're going to drive back towards the escarpment and then hug the escarpment all the way around. And then I looked and went, no, we're not going to be doing that because of the rain. So my idea is just kind of go towards the river road and hopefully we miss it. Romeo, this question, one of the worst things, not the question, but one of the worst things is, and it's got to do with Romeo's question, how many flies do you swallow in a day? Too many. Although, I'm now going to cover my mouth in case a fly decides to break my running streak. I have not eaten a fly for a few days, Romeo, but I think that could change. Especially now that I've jinxed myself. Maybe I eat midges, because those midges are so small, I don't think you'd really notice if you swallowed one of those. So I probably eat a couple of those a day. But at one point in Juma, I just remember Jamie and I were both spitting off the side of the car like uncivilized ladies, but we had to because it was quite gross. Jean-Andre, however, is also... there's a very funny clip, in fact, of Jean-Andre doing an interview, behind-the-scenes interview, and he had a fly on his lip. You did swallow it, hey? Went in, and Jean-Andre just very casually, still filming, like acted as if nothing had even happened, just went, yeah, and so these cameras are so fantastic, or whatever he was talking about. I can't remember what it was for, but it was so impressive, just so great. Whereas Jamie and I are just up for that, we're just going to spit it out. But yeah, and I'm kind of glad I haven't eaten a fly for quite some time. They're not my favorite. They're not, yeah, it isn't great, unfortunately. But I've almost swallowed butterflies before too, because they sometimes hit the car and then they come flying into your face. And I have a fear about that. So I remember when I was growing up and we'd go on these school camps. So I was young, we call it primary school. So I don't know what camp it was. Maybe I was like 9 years old. And there was this girl, it was very sad, in Uitenhage in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. She swallowed a butterfly and she ended up being allergic to the dust on the butterfly's wing, or the tiny little scales that come off on a butterfly's wings. And it made her, I think essentially she went into anaphylactic shock. Her whole throat swelled up and they couldn't get her to hospital in time. It was very sad and she ended up dying. I have a terrible fear of swallowing a buffalo. I meant to say butterfly. I think if I swallowed a buffalo, I'd most certainly choke. I'm so sorry, little elephant. I was too busy talking about swallowing buffalo. I don't want to swallow a buffalo. I meant to say butterfly. I think I was looking at buffalo in the distance and then I got distracted. And I will prove to you that they're buffalo, but before we leave these elephants. So that elephant obviously trumpeted at me. It wasn't very happy, but it was being a little bit on the dramatic side because now it's gone straight back to eating again. So I couldn't have upset it very much then, but quite typical with these young elephants like this. I'm going to try and keep moving because we're quite far away off the main road. I'm so sorry. Please don't trumpet at me today. Again. Oh, for what? I'm very sorry. Oh, look at Floppy. Look at this elephant very quickly. They're being a bit dramatic, these young elephants. They see cars all the time. Everyone else is relaxed. Shame. Her ears are very, very floppy. As you can see, they look a bit tattered too. Oh no. She can't even shake her head properly. You see, look at Troublemaker now is chasing this one. Being a busybody, and sorry, it was a young boy. Right, Steve is on a roll this afternoon and keeping up with Tandy. Hopefully he'll be able to put the pedal to the metal and be able to see that sweet little Not Francis again.
And we've come around, folks, to the place we were before, initially in the beginning, where she picked up that impala head and started licking it and semi-feeding on it. It was hard to see. You can tell the vegetation is very, very thick here. We're not going to go further in. This is about as best visual as we can get for the moment. That's all you can see is a spot through the bushes. Impossible to see that if you were walking. But as she picked up the head and moved further in, she was still calling her cub. Been calling her a few times. Maybe he's trying to interest her in some impala head, but I think maybe cub's more interested in her milk. Doesn't like brains on the menu. We don't have the best look at her from here, but she is moving almost to where we saw her just before. So she's playing a nice game with us. I think it's move the Land Rovers around. It's her own form of chess. Can't really see though, can you, Vildy? All I can see is that white tip of the tail. There you go, look at that. The best camouflage ever. You can just see the tip of the tail on bottom right of the screen there. We talk about leopard habitat and the environment for a leopard. These drainage lines are ideal places for leopards. Very easy for them to stalk. I mean, she's probably about 30, 40 yards from us right now, and with the naked eye, impossible to see. And wildebeest is on a very, very zoomed in camera lens there. And that's the only reason you can see it. With my naked eye, all I see from time to time is that little tail flick. And if she was looking at me, I wouldn't see that tail flick. That tail flick is for her cub to follow. So if she was looking at me, it would have been completely invisible. You would walk right past her, and any unsuspecting prey walking through this thick bush here would probably succumb to the fate of that other impala. But we're going to see if we can find another position to get a better look. And while we do so, Noel has found some water.
We're sitting here at Chitwa Dam, and Davi and I were just saying to each other how beautiful the light is right now and how stunning the dam looks. We've got some really great bird activity that's just here on the sideline. So we have some white-faced whistling ducks. One is keeping a lookout while the other one does a little bit of filter feeding. And then just to the right of them, we had a water thickney, that tall one there, and then what looks like some common sandpipers. From what I can see, there should be a sort of little bit of white that pulls up onto the shoulder there, and that supercilium's quite white as well. This has been a warmer afternoon than we've had in the past few days, so there will be more bird activity, as you can see. I can hear bee eaters, but I can't quite see them at... Oh, Davi, can you see them? Just above the dam, all of these birds that are flitting about are the bee eaters. I don't know if we're going to be able to get them on camera. We'll have to maybe wait and see. As I say that, of course, they've meandered off. But the white-fronted, or it sounded like white-fronted bee eaters, or European, they were very quick pass, most likely European, are catching on the wing there. And so things like butterflies that are out, and daytime moths. Oh, and then Dobby, just underneath this dead log here, there's a beautiful visual of that green-backed heron. Yeah, look at that light, hey? Also doing a little bit of fishing, hopefully. We checked behind the dam wall just now. We were looking for that snipe. We found a heron. We were also trying to see if we could pick up on either Hasana or Tumba. I ran into one of the trackers from Chitwa earlier, and he had some leopard tracks, but he's thinking that they moved over a net's boundary, and he was saying it's either Tumba or Hasana. Dutchie, you're curious to know if there's any hammerkorps here. I haven't seen any yet today. We passed by a couple of big hammerkorps nests earlier, but I haven't physically seen the bird itself. Oh, the bee eaters are back now, just flying over at our 2:30, 3 o'clock. There we go. Oh, thanks, Dobby. And then, of course, he goes behind the tree. Sorry, my friend. I've had the experience that when it's been cold like it has, and then it warms up like it does now, these small thermals that are coming up off the off the water the bee eaters really enjoy. I'm going to stay quiet for a little bit and see if we can maybe hear any of the bird calls in the background. We've got a nice hippo gaping at the far end of the dam. Not sure if we picked up anything. I don't think anything's calling close enough to us. Scarlett, you'd like to know how deep the water is, if I know how deep the water is. Scarlett, as far as I'm aware, where that hippo is here, where it's lying right there, that is going to be about sort of my high waist up to possibly my shoulder. I'm 5'9", I'm about 172 centimeters, if that helps. When you go farther out into this area here, that's going to be, there'll be like a little island around there, and then it's going to taper off and be much deeper, so way above my head. Maybe, let's call it 2 to 3 meters would be my guess. And then as you come closer, obviously, to the bank there, it's going to start being more shallow. And that's why we see the hippos here, and then they come along to the bank over on this side, and then around the side of the dam, and then to here, and then coming around to the little island. And then if we move to our left, then they'll also come down. Ooh, sorry, now I don't know where to move my hand. There we go. Also go to there. I have a little bit of dyslexia, so sometimes my brain and where my hands and my thoughts need to move are not in coordination with each other. All right, so I think what we might do is we might move over to the far side of the dam, because there's a beautiful heron that's over there. So Francis from Israel, you're asking if we've seen the hatchlings. Francis from Israel, I have not seen those hatchlings in a really long time. They're possibly on the other side of the dam that we can't access. Now, that greater heron is over there, but the visual's not good, so I think what we'll do is we'll physically take ourselves there and hope he stays put. Maybe we'll take a nice look at those impala as well, and maybe we get a little bit more of a close-up on the hippos that are over there. Our hippos are being silly this side. Ooh, sorry, there's a bump. All right. I'm also super surprised that no elephants have come down this way, but that's okay. I'm sure we'll find them when they're ready to be seen. I did hear that while I'm busy repositioning, I am going to send you to someone. I don't know who I'm sending you to, but it'll obviously be someone from Safari Live, so maybe Brent, maybe I think Taylor is out, and maybe Steve. I've been just having a little bit of issues with my earpiece today, so sorry about that. So let's head on over to them, and we'll see you all shortly.
Hello, welcome back to the manual windscreen wiping festival. So we're getting into the thick of the storm now. We managed to just get our covers down on time. You can see my jacket got a bit wet, but the main body of the storm is about to hit us. It's coming around the corner. I'm just trying to make sure I can see properly. There we go. If it doesn't work out here, I've always got a job as a windscreen wiper. I can, for those of you who are from South Africa, at the traffic lights, there are guys who stand there with windscreen wipers ready to clean your window whether you want it cleaned or not. But we have while I meander and try, see, Land Rovers, before I answer Lady Starfire's question, Land Rovers were designed by short English people, because even if there was a roof here, I would have to duck, and then also the way the covers are, so if I want to see the road properly, I've got to do this. So there we go. I'm going to get crunched down so I can see out, but it's better than being wet. Fortunately, I can see there's no cars. Adrian, any cars behind us?
No cars behind us.
No cars behind us. We're good. So our cam ops work as our rear view mirrors and side mirrors, especially when we're down like this. But Lady Starfire was wondering, where would I like to go on safari anywhere in the world? Oh, that is such a difficult question. There are so many places. I think, I'm going to give a list, and not in particular order or list of importance. The Pantanal in South America, in Brazil, for jaguar. Ethiopia, the Bale Mountains for Ethiopian wolf or simian fox. Central African Republic, to explore that area that's on the eastern side of Central African Republic, where the forest meets the savannah, where you have eland, bongo, lion, gorilla and chimpanzee all in the same area. Where else? Oh, there's so many places, but I think those for now. Oh, Yellowstone to go see wolves, or Alaska. So there's many places I'd like to go. Sorry, it's getting a bit difficult to see again. Oh, don't get stuck there. Wait. Okay, while I try and negotiate my way home in the storm, let's go back across to Steve, who's still with the gorgeous Tandy. Hopefully she has some luck this afternoon.
And we've managed to relocate on this beautiful cat. We've come around to pretty much where we were before, and she has got her impala face, and she is enjoying it. Still no sign of the cub. I can just hear the crunching of the bones there. As she lifted her head up, every movement in the bush here gets her attention, even if she's got food. They are specialists, they are opportunists. I quite enjoy these Land Rovers. I think they're made perfectly for an individual of my size. And for the tall people out there, all I can say is shame. I love this vehicle. It's short wheelbase. It's amazing where we can get in and out. So she's busy using that carnassial shear, folks. If you remember my stint in the tent, I was showing you that characteristic of a carnivore is that carnassial shear, that the side of the teeth where we kind of have our molars. They've got very sharp teeth. You can see how she's using the side of her jaw there to chew on any sinew and bone, and to get all the goodness out of that young impala. When the impala is young, the bones haven't calcified as much as they would from an adult, so it's actually possible for a leopard to eat quite a large proportion of that, and it allows them to get the marrow inside. Obviously the larger bones would be left for the stronger jawed hyenas. There you can see she's switching from one side to the other to get that cutting edge. So there's a question from Lady Starfire. Where would I like to go on safari? I'd love to go to Alaska. I'd love to walk bears. That's something I've always wanted to do. I'd love to go up to Ethiopia, see the Ethiopian wolf. Yellowstone National Park is obviously on the bucket list. I wouldn't mind seeing the massive migrations on the Siberian steppes. Apparently largest movements of antelope in the world up there. That'd be quite something to see. And another place I'd like to go to is Israel, because during the change of the seasons, apparently 500,000 birds migrate from the north to the south and vice versa, and you can apparently get amazing bird visual up there. So that's something I'd like to do. Millions and millions of birds traveling north and south across that little land bridge from Africa up into Asia. That's a place I'd like to go. I don't know what safaris they offer there, but I'd go there for the birding most definitely. And then finally I'd love to go to India and Sri Lanka. I've actually got friends working both in India and Sri Lanka now, doing tiger walks and trails as well as leopard conservation. So that's somewhere I'll be going, somewhere in the near future. But while we stay here with Tandy and her prize, Noel, I believe, has got one of the feathered kind for you.
Hello, hello. So we've gotten over to the other side of Chitwa Dam Wall, and I believe, I can't remember, but I think earlier I called this a heron. It's not a heron, it's an egret. It was just a slip of a tongue, please excuse me. It should be a great egret, completely yellow beak and then black legs and also black feet. Now, Davi and I have been sitting here in absolute hysterics because he's been busy keeping his head very still and then shaking his body and his back end and vibing hectically. He was doing this for a couple of minutes, and then all of a sudden he grabbed a lizard, a skink, and ate ate it. It was the most incredible thing. I've never seen an egret do this before. It was, yeah, I have no words. It was hysterical at the same time. But it was amazing how he kept his head and bill so still, and then his neck was sort of swinging like a snake, and then when he turned his body, it looked like he was doing a little bit of a torque action or like a booty shake. It was incredible. Now, I think he was doing this to possibly distract the lizard to looking at that end of his body as opposed to the front end that was actually going to catch it. That would be my guess. But having never seen this type of behavior before, all I can do is pull on other experiences and then say that would be what I would assume. I don't know if anyone else that's out there that's watching has seen something similar. I'm hoping he starts doing it again so you all can see what we saw and also giggle with us. And I think he might have spied something else as he is now standing a little bit still. When I was saying to Dobby that Ferg and I were watching him fish a couple of weeks ago here inside the dam, and there he would crinkle up his neck and then turn his head sideways and then spear in. So he obviously has different ways in which he anticipates needing to move himself to be able to get the prey species that he's after. It's very incredible. All right. So as he's decided that he's now going to be a statue of an egret, instead of actually doing our fun little booty shake, I think maybe we'll focus on these hippos that are just behind us that are busy popping up into this beautiful, beautiful light. They were doing a bit of territorial marking there and shaking their tails and having some dung come out. Now, males will do that as they walk around at night, at night to mark territory. Females, when they're out and about at night feeding, will just sort of drop their dung as normal. But females and males will both do that territorial shake of the tail with some dung coming out in the water. Some of it is to do with females wanting to attract males, so the males can come up and smell behind and check to see if they're an estrus and do a little bit of Fleming grimace there. Sometimes females will do Fleming grimace to themselves, excuse me. I'm having issues with my words today, everybody. I'm very sorry. To each other. And that also helps test who's in whose pod and is anybody new and are we still friends. Farah, interesting question. You want to know if crocodiles ever attack hippos? Farah, I've never personally seen a crocodile attack hippo. I've seen crocodiles try to attack hippo, but I haven't seen the actual final catch there. Oh, there's a wonderful little half gape happening there. Specifically with larger crocodiles and smaller hippos. But I do know that it happens from time to time. I've seen hippos killing each other. I've seen female hippos killing other calves from other females, and I've seen males killing calves. I've also seen male hippos fighting on land and killing each other that way as well. It's pretty hectic. No, they're having a nice snooze. You can see those marks on the body of that hippo there just on the right-hand side. Those marks, those scratches are from fighting with other hippos. Now, hippos have jaws that are strong enough to crack a crocodile in half, so that's one of the reasons why I think it's less likely, or it's not something you see as often, crocodile killing hippo, because hippos can be pretty fierce. Ooh, our egret is busy doing his hunting maneuvers again. I'm going to duck my head down so that you can get over there. He's not quite doing his booty shake, but there he's doing it. He's starting to wiggle his neck. You see there? So this is how it started last time. He's wiggling his neck a little bit, and then he got his whole body into it. Let's see if he does it again. Oh, no. I think maybe whatever he saw has gone off. All right, well, Brent is busy battening down the hatches up there in the Maasai Mara, and I believe he wants to chat with all of you about a few things. And myself and Dobby will carry on and see what else we can find for you that might be new and interesting, like our crazy egret and his little booty shake.
Well, yes, we are sneaking up the hill. The main body of the storm is now coming from behind us, but I can just hear it patting along the canvas next to me. So it's starting to get quite loud inside here, but fortunately the rain is not hitting the windscreen directly anymore, so I don't have to wipe as often. So quite fortunate. Now, we had a question from Brent saying, are there any salt licks for the animals? So no man-made or man-put down salt licks. But in the south of the triangle and in sort of the center of the other side of the river, there are natural salt licks. So where there's swamps and rivers where the salts and minerals that are taken out of the earth by the water and brought down, and the elephants actually and buffalo and eland and topi and pretty much everything will go to those areas if they feel they're needing salts and certain minerals, iron and calcium and things like that, and they'll drink the water and even eat the mud from those areas. So yes, there are salt licks, and they're naturally occurring salt licks out here. As you can hear, I'm just going to keep quiet, you can hear it's starting to get quite loud inside our little tent. But fortunately, we're halfway up the hill. Poor Madam McCurdy, she's still down there somewhere, so I think she might be in a little bit, well, hit the hill at a bit of a worse time than we are. But hopefully she gets home nice and safe. I think I can see her lights on the way up the hill in the distance. But we're going to say good night